Have you ever stopped to wonder about the true origins of your beauty products? So I'm talking about beyond the label, beyond the branding. Who are the people growing the ingredients and what challenges are they facing? Now, most of us don't think about this because we just buy these bottles straight off the shelf and then we go about our daily business with our cosmetics. But what if we did think about where our beauty products originated? After all, we think about the origins of food, don't we? We think about how far it's traveled to get to us. We think about the ethical standards used to farm the foods we eat. Why doesn't beauty encourage us to do the same? Now, if you caught last week's episode here on the podcast, you'll have heard my interview with Chloe Vallet, co-founder of Prime Green, which is a social enterprise that works directly with growers of natural ingredients in Latin America. Chloe and her co-founder Jeremy's approach is honestly unlike anything I've seen before in the beauty industry, because Prime Green doesn't just source ingredients. Instead, they spend months living alongside growers, truly understanding their challenges and helping them to really connect to the global beauty market. It's an approach that highlights just how disconnected the beauty industry has become from its supply chains and how much work we still need to do to fix that. And that's what I want to explore on the podcast today, this stark contrast between a hands-on, transparent approach and the widespread lack of accountability in beauty supply chains. So let's dig into why transparency matters and what needs to change if the beauty industry is to truly become sustainable. Hi, it's Lorraine Dahlmeier, chartered environmentalist, biologist, and CEO of award-winning online organic cosmetic formulation school, Formula Botanica. I host the Green Beauty Conversations podcast, and these are my Green Beauty opinions, in which I challenge the beauty industry's terrible track record on sustainability and share my thoughts on how we make the sector a better and sustainable place. If you want to be the first to hear all of my latest episodes, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. So let's talk about transparent and ethical supply chains. So last week, Chloe shared a story about a moringa grower in Peru who was already farming organically, but didn't realize the importance of organic certification for beauty buyers. So Prime Green stepped in to help the grower achieve a certification, not only opening up new markets, but also ensuring that his work was properly valued. This is a small example, but it speaks volumes about the role that social enterprise can play in bridging the gap between growers and industry. And this got me thinking about the larger issues of transparency and accountability in the beauty industry. Now, we've talked before about the lack of traceability in ingredient supply chains, for instance, and how some of the biggest players in the beauty industry can't or won't keep tabs on what's happening at the source. This whole thing, it's this opaque web that leads to exploitation, deforestation, human rights abuses. And you heard me cover some of this recently in episodes 216 and 230 as well, when I talked about the need for proper transparency. And we also looked at some recently reported human rights abuses in the cosmetic supply chain, and some of them were quite shocking. And yet, here we are with a small social enterprise like Prime Green showing the big players exactly how it should be done. And I really hope that their business takes off exponentially as a result of this. Because they're not just sourcing ingredients, they're creating ethical value chains by working hand in hand with growers. They're getting to know the people who grow the ingredients and they're showing that they care. And ultimately, it's about slowing things down and doing things right. But let's not pretend that this is easy, because transparency in supply chains, it's hard work. It requires time, resources, and a genuine commitment to doing better. And most big beauty companies don't have the capacity or willingness to spend months in the field understanding the nuances of ingredient production and really getting to know the people who grow and produce those ingredients. So instead, they rely on a web of intermediaries, which makes it all too easy to turn a blind eye to problems such as environmental degradation or child labour. And when those brands do talk about sustainability, it's often through these glossy marketing campaigns that tell us nothing really about what's going on behind the scenes. And they certainly don't talk about areas for improvement in a way that they really should. This is why I like companies like Prime Green so much and why they matter so much, because they're not just bridging the gap. They're challenging everything that beauty is and stands for. They're showing that it is possible to build an ethical and transparent supply chain, even in an industry as complex as beauty. And they're doing it in a way that uplifts growers, respects their knowledge, and gives them the tools that they need to succeed on their own terms. So my challenge to you this week is to dig deeper. The next time you buy a beauty product, ask where its ingredients came from. Who grew them? Were they paid fairly? What's their story? And if the brand can't answer those ingredients, ask them why. Because the more we demand transparency, the more we encourage brands to follow the lead of pioneers such as Chloé and Prime Green. Let's start building a beauty industry that values people as much as it values profits. Thank you for listening to my Green Beauty Opinions. Remember to visit the Formula Botanica website at formulabotanica.com to try our free online formulation course. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the Green Beauty Conversations podcast, please do so now in your favourite podcast app. Leave me a 5-star review if you enjoy these discussions. And I'll be back soon with my next episode.